Good morning, everyone. Thanks for joining us to discuss and debate issues around this noble cause. I have come here from Turkey, which, particularly in the past 12 years, has been a developing story with a lot of breaking points from journalistic point of view. An interesting story, now turning into a drama. It is, as a country, put in a more different context than Russia, definitely than North Korea or Venezuela and others. It is a country, if you put it in the context, negotiating membership still with the European Union. It is a country whose membership with the Western institutions number more than 35 of them, topped by NATO. And it is a country with a vibrant society and diverse social fabric. And it is a country under immense social transformation with very high aspirations for a new democratic order with a new constitution as a base, new social contract. Yet, the drama is at a new level. It is now what some people call a power grab, some others call a drift towards autocracy, some others call turning into a party state, where the electoral hegemony leads to a rule that at the end of the day would alienate and even criminalize elected opposition. So if we look at today, the drama is continuing at Turkish parliament as well as outside. The so-called domestic security package, which has been put forward by the ruling AKP government with more than 130 points, has raised alarm levels to new heights. Financial Times editorial today talks about Turkey shifting towards a police state. In a Turkish newspaper, a liberal columnist made a reference to the famous, I don't know the German word for it, but the bill passed in 1933 in Reichstag in 24th of March. The law that makes it possible. I don't know the German word for this. And this liberal columnist talks a lot about, in gloom about what to expect, and calls in loudest terms, stop this. Parliament has turned into a battlefield for some days, where opposition members, Kurds or others, nationalists of all camps have been beaten. Blood has been spilled over the floor of Turkish parliament. So this happens also if you put it into a regional context with where Turkey is located. This raises the levels of drama. So we do not know at this moment whether Turkey is drifting towards truly as alarm levels are raised to a police state order, or is it drifting towards what many fear as some form of domestic confrontation? Some people talk about civil war, or common sense prevailing, perhaps finding a new path towards by returning to the basics and walking towards democratic order, to a path which would lead to a democratic order. So the uncertainties are very high, and the make or break moment will come in June elections. Many people, again, the pessimists at home or abroad, are talking about these elections as the last free one. So pessimists are usually well-informed optimists, so we should take those warnings very, very seriously. This is the political context, very worrisome, and I will put state of journalism in this context. This is where I am here for. I'm a journalist for over 35 years, and been feeling lately in this atmosphere that two professions in Turkey, as this democratic transition seems to fail, are in danger. Members of the judiciary and press corps. The definition, the job definition of those two professions are based on independence. Third and fourth estate, if those estates are targeted, the conclusion is inevitable. The path towards democratic order will fail. Indeed, the AKP government's failure or evasiveness to deliver Turkey a new constitution has led to this critical standpoint. Where many judges are now feel immense cabin pressure to not to be subordinated by the political executive, whereas the media in general is being suffocated, fearing nullification of its function. The mother of Mr. Learning mentioned in the opening remarks that the mother of all freedoms is freedom of expression. That's true. I would go further beyond that and say we should be very careful about putting freedom of the press and freedom of the media as an extension of this freedom, the basic freedom. Freedom of expression is the midwife of freedom of media, if you will. Freedom of expression is the riverbed on which journalism thrives. But it's different. They are not necessarily the same thing, although they overlap to a great deal. To me, and to many journalists in this profession, freedom of the media is much more about reporting stories, informing the public, rather than opinion, although it is part of the freedom of the media. Commenting is easier in today's world. Everybody is a potential blogger. But opinion without proper information to the public is often on the verge of propaganda. Informing is therefore the lifeline of journalism. It's bridge between the public, its constitutional rights, and also the constitutional rights of journalism. The title of my session, of my speech, Turkey, the top jailer of the world, is, in a way, therefore, is misleading as of today. Turkey is no longer the top jailer of the world, and I would alert everyone that this should not be adopted as a cliché. Yes, truly, between 2008 until 2014, Turkey has been among the top 3 jailing journalists. But the numbers in 2014 decreased dramatically from 40s to single-digit numbers. According to Committee to Protect Journalists, it is now 7 journalists in jail in Turkey. According to Reporters Sans Frontières, it's somewhere between 0 and 5. Although these findings, as agreed by the CPJ and Reporters Sans Frontières, do not by any means mean that the situation of Turkish journalism has become better. Indeed, it has become worse. It has to do with censorship and self-censorship, overwhelming the quantitative analysis of how many people are in jail. It's not, the number of jail journalists is no longer in many emerging democracies is the major measure by which one measures the situation of press freedom. In Turkey's case, as in some other countries, the governments realized that the jailing journalists, I'm not talking about dictatorships, I'm talking about regimes where still hold free elections. Governments realized that jailing journalists is a headache. So they have now found very shrewd and cunning ways to suffocate media. This has been done more visibly than anywhere else in Turkey. Dress rehearsed in Gezi Park protests, where the main bulk of the Turkish media was basically by their own proprietors who are in liaison or in alliance with the powers that be in Ankara, forced the entire newsrooms under their control to black out the news, where these protests were spreading to 79 out of 81 provinces of Turkey. This systematic and very visible self-censorship proved the point of us, including myself, that even if a country holds zero journalists in jail, the media, if and the media sector order doesn't change in terms of independence, freedom, and diversity, will suffer very deeply. Where, at the end of the day, journalism, at best, will turn into stenography, which is becoming the case in Turkey. Independence is now so much threatened since Gezi Park protests, which is July 2013, until now, that firings of journalists, sackings, have replaced jailings as punishment method, punitive measure. It's a new development. It was happening before, but now it is en masse in a systematic manner. Number of journalists who have been sacked since July 2013, according to some union figures, is close to 2,000. This is about 10 to 15% of the entire press corps. Those fired have left or right, conservative, non-conservative inclinations. It didn't matter. The very reason for these arbitrary sackings were those journalists' defense for the professional dignity, integrity, honor, and values of journalism. And this continues to this day. So I would urge everyone to look at this new situation, which is being copy-pasted by many countries where the order, the power holders are feeding the media proprietors, media moguls with a lot of carrots, mainly by way of public tenders, billions of dollars, which is the case in Turkey, and those media proprietors, driven by greed and seeing only money in the business, in our critical business, supposed to be in public service, they are acting as chief censors in their media institutions. This is affecting approximately 80% of Turkish media today, mainly TV channels, because the authorities see that TV is, like in Russia, up to 85, maybe plus, of the population watches TV and it's the only sole source of information that they get. So the control of the TV has been done almost to completion in Turkey. Print is suffering, and newspapers are now, out of 40 national newspapers, those who are keen on reporting, I emphasize reporting stories, corruption, investigative journalism, are only 4 or 5. And this is a very dramatic situation. And those newspapers are under constant threat by way of lack of public advertisement or private, even business advertisement. So this is the drama. And that puts Turkey in this critical point where public is being blacked out by whatever is happening in Turkey. It is only feeding, if this is a drift towards authoritarianism, this is only being helpful for the government that rules the country. Journalism is in danger, and it is, I'm afraid, if this trend continues, going to turn into a state no longer independent, but part of the political executive, which would be shameful indeed. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Yavuz, for that overview.